nothing better than a technical difficulty to start our week. I guess Saturday's the new Sunday in Indianapolis.
What do you mean by that?
I mean,
There's
Jeff
no
Saturday.
Wow.
He's officially back.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully he can inject some life into the locker room.
I thought you were.
I don't think so.
They should just watch football on Saturdays, like
or that they should tank.
Instead.
There was a lot of ways that could have taken, but that was interesting. That was a good plan.
That was a good plan.
Nice pun.
Jeff Saturday.
I mean, even he, to be fair, that was, probably how the phone call went between Jim Irsay and Jeff Saturday. He was like, what?
I mean, I think everybody was shocked. I don't know.
He literally said that. He said,
I think everybody was shocked. Yeah, everybody was shocked. I mean, if and Reggie Wayne, I want to talk about that a little bit. He's on the coaching staff right now, Reggie Wayne. And was he even a thought?
I don't know. Jeff Saturday has never coached above the high school level.
Yes.
Well, hopefully, at the very least, he can.
We happen to play with Misha and I.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the very least, hopefully he can recreate
and then he was good,
but
not with us.
Hopefully he can just recreate that culture that existed with the Manning teams.
Good luck.
At the very least, just bring some culture to the locker room.
Some culture?
Do you think that's
some culture?
Do you think that's possible with Sam Ehlinger?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a dog.
I mean, are they going to draft somebody? I mean, this is probably a little bit further on.
I think they're tanking.
The road.
Why would you hire Jeff Saturday if you're not tanking?
I agree.
I don't know. There's been a lot of speculation. I feel like he can earn a spot in like a job next year in this spot.
I guess if he's good, he could end up being maybe an assistant. Like, who would give him a head coach? I guess if he's really good.
But nobody else is going to give him a coaching job. It's going to have to be the Colts.
Yeah. That's just something.
Yeah. I mean,
it's Jim Irsay at his finest, though.
Jim Irsay is on the sauce.
I don't think anyone. I don't think he ever stopped being on the sauce, my friend.
No.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's
expecting down Dan Snyder.
He did.
That's true.
Which is a respectable thing.
Yeah. So,
but
it's an eye for an eye.
He's all about respect, I guess.
Everyone's expecting it to go 0-8.
I don't think they're going to go 0-8.
So
whoa.
They play the Steelers. They play the Texans. I mean, that's at least two that you.
I don't think
neither of those are.
I don't think any given game you can look at and say the Colts are going to win.
They're going to be favored.
They beat the Chiefs this year.
That was a different team.
Barely.
I guess.
Somehow, I mean, it just was like they were
riding high. I guess. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just saying, like, they still have like some good players on their team. They could randomly beat some bad teams.
Right. That's
and
true.
Like you're saying, Jeff Saturday could establish the culture.
Let's hope.
Yeah, he's definitely like a locker room guy.
I bet they're going to run the ball a lot.
Absolutely.
A lot.
Those offensive linemen are going to fucking work their ass off.
He might fix the offensive line, I guess. I don't know what he
someone
knows
has
about
to.
that. Yeah. I guess he's so skinny now. I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually what happens with, guys that retire.
Yeah, it's not as fun though.
Obviously.
All right,
so anything you want.
Moving on, the favorites. We're 4-7-2 this week.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great start for the favorites. Obviously they suck. Per usual.
Yeah, they're not doing so hot.
Home teams, the opposite, 7-4-2.
Yeah.
So pretty nice week for the home teams. The favorites were not great, per usual, and the public, another abysmal week, 1-2 against the spread, brings them to 8-19 on the year against the spread. That's the public. So, and then the Eagles are still undefeated. I guess we're just going to keep saying that every week.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles are quite good. They're not losing anytime soon. And I think we've obviously gotten onto this, primetime situation.
Mm-hmm.
This public sucks against the spread. I'm interested in this home team situation. What do you think about that?
I think home teams have gone 500 or above every single week.
Well, and this is a little, odd here, but as the seasons turn and it gets colder, I think home teams, especially when they play against teams from warm weather places or dome teams, they do have an advantage.
Absolutely. Yeah. The Bills are going to be tough to play against. No matter,
that's just
it looks like Josh Allen's going
to
be hurt a little bit, but still, that's going to be a tough team to play against come December time.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's why they won't build a dome.
Yeah. I mean, they should
use the weather to your advantage. I mean, Minnesota should definitely have a retractable roof. I mean, I guess they can. You should literally just have snow in there if you're in Minnesota.
I don't get why, like, certain teams, for example, like the Colts from Minnesota that do. Wait, does Minnesota have a retractable roof?
No, I don't even think they do.
Okay, well,
So the Colts definitely do.
Yeah.
So the Colts should just practice outside all week when they're playing the Cardinals at home.
Yeah.
Say they're going to have the roof closed, and then right before the game, open that sucker up. They've been practicing
Let a little bit of-
all week.
Yeah.
A little bit of
Cardinals
snow in
get
there.
freaked
true.
out. I don't know why they don't do that. Little gamesmanship.
They should.
I guess
There's
Throw
gotta
that out on
there's gotta be
Twitter.
problems.
Who cares? Throw that out on Twitter.
Absolutely.
Gain some traction.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so Thursday night football this week.
Yeah.
We got a nice divisional matchup. It was the best game of the week a few weeks ago. We got Panthers Falcons rematch. We're taking the Panthers at +3.5.
Gross.
33% of the public, the fade of the public continues. And honestly, I didn't write any notes down for why I'm taking the Panthers because literally the only reason is because the public is fading
Fuck.
the Falcons.
I mean, they should.
The
I mean,
public.
they're
It's just
playing at home, and they should have beaten the Falcons on the road 2 weeks ago.
right. DJ Moore took his helmet
Yeah.
off, and that's why they blew the game. But the Panthers have looked completely dysfunctional.
Cario
since then.
Santos couldn't
Yeah.
get it done twice.
I don't know. I mean, this game is going to be frisky.
These
telling
teams
you,
are two
this
frisky
is
teams.
gonna
I mean,
be-
the Panthers aren't as
You really,
frisky as
you
the
never know what
Falcons.
you're getting from either of these teams
And-
on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Especially
but a
on
Thursday.
night primetime game. Oh my god, this could get weird.
This is.
These teams are
And
going to
as you
both.
said, primetime games are the wankiest.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
I'm starting DJ Moore in my fantasy league just because he's playing on Thursday night, and this is the weirdest game possible. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I did not take his over because he's playing on Thursday night, so I don't know what he's. It just feels like it's going to be a weird game. I do think there's probably going to be a good amount of offense. Neither of these teams are that good at defense.
Yeah, and well, the Falcons'
I would say the
offense
Falcons
has kind of been struggling.
Falcons have been
recently,
banged
too,
up a
other than
little
that
bit. I would
Panthers
say
game.
Falcons have been banged up. Panthers secondary is young, but they're pretty solid, honestly. But yeah, these teams are gonna just go at each other all game. It's gonna be an interesting one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite wonky.
It is, but Panthers +3.5. Hopefully, it's wonky in our favor.
Yeah.
So Sunday, we got some
Sunday,
nice picks for Sunday games. We're going to start with the Germany one. Seahawks +3.5 at home against the Buccaneers. 60% of the public, but that's kind of irrelevant for a non-prime time game. I guess 9:30 a.m. is like the opposite of prime time.
It's a standalone game.
Yeah, but they're still like it really. I feel like they're know trying to show off in that game.
like
I know
the
they're
West
playing.
Coast, like 6:30 a.m. No one's watching that game.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but
that's
it's still
but
like,
it means just
it's
more
cool. I don't know.
viewership
You're
for
in Germany.
Europeans.
They went all the way there. They might as well play well. You know how much it would suck to go to Germany and get your ass beat?
I mean, the Seahawks have a recipe for success. It's pretty clear and obvious.
Yeah, and I think the Bucks win last week was kind of a fluke. The Rams lost, like the Bucks didn't really win. You
Fair
know,
enough,
they're still
yeah.
they still haven't proven that they're a good team.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady is 1-0 as a divorced man.
Did he officially?
He
get
officially
divorced?
announced it after the Ravens lost. So
Yeah.
yes, he's
Damn.
undefeated.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, something to keep an eye on.
But for Seattle,
For sure.
Seattle somehow is going to win the NFC West. They're in first place right now. I think they're going to keep riding that momentum.
I mean, they're just a pretty good football team. Like
Yeah.
Gino is pretty solid. Ken Walker's a good back. Lockett, DK, good receivers. Solid defense. They're just not a bad team.
No, they're playing pretty
Coached
solid this year.
super
And,
well.
Yeah,
and it seems that Russell Wilson,
might have been the problem.
yeah,
It's pretty clear he was pretty toxic in the locker
He
room.
might. I mean, that he has.
Guys couldn't
That's what
reach him.
celebrity players do to a team.
Yeah.
that's what happens when you're with a celebrity player.
I mean, yeah, they're just toxic at times. I mean, speaking of celebrity players, where do we think Odell is?
He's gonna go to the probably. It looks like the Cowboys.
the
Of
Cowboys.
recent reports. but
Honestly, my
who knows?
hot take is Jerry Jones doesn't really want to sign Odell. He saw that the Giants were in and just is saying that to raise their price.
The Giants could use Odell.
Yeah,
Because
the
I
Giants
saw
still-
Giants were one of the
Yeah,
four
the Giants
teams.
want
What are the
The
Odell.
four
fans,
teams?
the fans would love that.
The fans would hate seeing him.
It's Bills,
in
Packers,
Dallas.
Cowboys, and Giants.
Oh, wow, that is a heinous group. There's two teams that desperately need him out of those four.
The Bills, I feel like he might go there because he's friends with Von Miller, but like he doesn't seem like the sort of guy who wants to go to Buffalo.
And he wants to be in the warm weather.
Yeah.
He
He kinda
wants to
also-
be in
he-
the spotlight.
he kinda wants to be
Dallas
in
or
Dallas.
New York.
He wants to be him. You know,
I mean, yeah. No, that's
that's
fair.
what he does.
He would
The
not
fans
be
would
him.
love to if he went back to the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be their best receiver right away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They'd give him like 10 targets a game.
Yeah. So next up, we got our first scary selection of the week. We got the Vikings at +5.5 in Buffalo with 68% of the public. I think Minnesota's just figured out ways to win. You know, they have beaten some pretty bad teams. You know, let's be honest.
Mhm.
But I'm not really as high on Buffalo as everyone else is, and Josh Allen may not play.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why it's scary.
But the
I
thing
still
is-
think they're a good team. I mean, they obviously have a superstar quarterback, but they're still a good team around him.
You're talking about the Bills?
Yeah,
Okay. I thought you were talking about Kirk Thuggins.
he is not a superstar quarterback.
Kirk Thuggins is a superstar quarterback. Did you see the moves he was doing on the plane?
Superstar quarterback.
Yeah,
Kirk
He
Cousins.
that was the most. That was like a star type of performance by him.
Look, if Josh Allen doesn't play, this isn't a scary selection
No,
for
not
me.
at
This
all.
is a hammer. If
Mhm.
Josh Allen does play, I'm still taking it. It's just a scary selection.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say about the Vikings is that they really remind me of the Steelers from a couple of years ago when they started, I think, like 11-0.
11-0, yeah.
Mhm.
And they were just
crumbled down
totally
the stretch.
fraudulent.
Absolutely
Totally
crumbled down the
fraudulent.
stretch. Lost to the football team, and then lost, I think, a couple, like 4 of their last 6, I want to say, and then just got destroyed by the Browns in the playoffs.
Yeah, so I just think that, we might be looking at that sort of situation with the Vikings in a couple of months.
Yeah.
But they do have playmakers. I mean, Dalvin Cook and J. Jeff Hawkinson's
Thielen?
pretty good.
Yeah. The
Thielen,
Hawkinson trade is slept
KJ
on.
Yeah.
Osborne, their defense is solid. I mean, they've got
KJ
pieces,
Osborne.
Right.
but like they shouldn't be losing to the Commanders like that, where they need
Yeah.
to have that sort of comeback.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what
it
I'm
should
saying?
it should not have been that close of a game in the first place, but they get it done. So I mean, that's just a sign of a good football team. Great football team would have covered.
Yeah, it's true. So
Yeah.
speaking of a team that doesn't have very many weapons, but they have, in my opinion, the best player in the NFL, we have the Titans at -2.5 against the Denver Broncos. I seriously think Henry is the most unstoppable player in the league. He single-handedly keeps the Titans in football games. Like Malik Willis and the receivers just are not that good at football, it seems like. And so Derrick Henry literally is the reason the Titans are, in first place in the AFC South.
I mean, he's a beast. There's no denying that. I saw a stat actually. If he just played the Texans every single, like in a full season,
Yeah.
if you took his stats against them the last 4 games, he would have over 3,000 yards in
I
a
mean, that's
season.
just ridiculous.
So I'm like, what he did last weekend on Sunday night against the Chiefs, that was fun.
Yeah, and he almost carried them to
Yeah.
a win that week. And going into the 2-minute drill drive, Malik Willis had completed 5 passes.
Yeah, and the thing is, what worries me a little bit is that that's kind of playing into the Broncos' hands. They don't like scoring either.
It is Tractorcito season, though. I mean,
That
he's
is true.
going off.
Yeah.
It's later in the season. People are tired from tackling guys all season, and then they have to
That's true.
go up
And we'll
against
get
Derrick
to-
Henry. I mean, that's just
We'll get to, the under later. We have the under 47.5 in one of the same game parlays this week. But we're going to continue. Sunday Night Football is actually a hammer play this week. We got the 49ers -6.5 against the Chargers. 46% of the public, so we're going to fade the public. The public is actually 0-9 on Sunday Night Football.
Really?
0-9. All of the 8
Wow.
wins that they have against the spread are on Thursday or Monday, and 2 of those were the Saints.
Interesting.
the
so
Chargers
weird.
also look a little bit fraudulent. I mean, this is
They're just
looking pretty
hurt.
good.
I don't even know if
They're
they're
hurt.
fraudulent. Like,
Yeah, they
half
are
their good
big.
players.
Yeah,
are
like
hurt.
Josh Palmer is the likely wide receiver 1 this week. We haven't
Yeah.
heard anything about Keenan
I
Allen
think
getting
he-
Is
better.
he just like What happened to his
Is
hamstring?
Khalil Mack playing?
Apparently, it got
he's hurt
worse
as well.
in the bye week.
How is
Keenan's
that even
hamstring.
possible?
That's what he said. It got worse.
He probably
Got
just
worse. Interesting.
slipped in the shower or something.
Yeah, and the 49ers
John
looked
Wall?
elite.
Yeah.
The last time we saw the
Hurt his
49ers, McCaffrey had his 3-touchdown day.
Oh yes.
Debo
that's
wasn't
true.
even playing in that
Is
game.
he playing this week?
Debo should be back.
I
this
thought he was
week.
still questionable.
He's
Yeah,
questionable.
he's questionable.
But he
He
probably
practiced today in a
I'm sure he'll
limited
suit up at
capacity
least.
in a non-contact jersey.
for some.
So
for
maybe
some.
he'll play, but just be maybe on like a snap count or more of like a decoy.
I mean, we'll see what happens going into Sunday, but my assumption is that he's going to play Sunday night.
Okay.
But we'll see what the actual status is. But I like the Niners in this game, and the public doesn't. So that's even more
Perfect.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the Chargers, as you said, are kind of fraudulent and hurt.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah,
You know,
they're
it's
definitely
kind of
banged
both.
up. I think the Bosa's been out for a little bit. Khalil Mack might be out right now. I mean, that's just tough for your defense. J.C. Jackson's probably out for the rest of the season.
And they're coming off a bye.
Yeah.
The Niners are coming off a bye. We
They're
spoke
gonna be
about
fully
the importance
healthy.
of the bye.
Yeah, the Ravens,
The mini
the
buys.
public had the Ravens on Monday Night Football, and they were on the mini buy, and it clearly served them well.
And same with the Bucks. They
Yeah.
had those extra reserves to
Yeah.
make that last minute drive.
100%.
The
Kate
mini
Otten
buy.
Thursday to
looked,
Monday.
Kate
The
Otten looked
mini
elite.
buy.
Thursday to Monday is a nice spot.
Kate Otten, mini Gronk, as
I
they're
don't know
they're
about
saying.
that. They should get Gronk back. Like I don't know what
I'm-
Gronk is thinking.
Yeah, we've been saying that
Brady's
for a few
literally
weeks.
He's gonna
divorced.
get signed.
Yeah, Brady
Well,
has nothing else going for him.
He
right
wants
now.
to hang out probably for the first time in his career.
Yeah, he just wants to hang out, be there, be
Yeah.
a target. He doesn't even want to like catch
Oh my
the ball that
God,
much.
who-
He just wants to catch
Who
touchdowns.
better
in
to
the red
help pick up
Although it will
help
be
Brady pick up
interesting.
chicks than Gronk?
It'll be interesting to see how long this.
zone. Even though he has a
divorce
girlfriend
lasts.
now and she's a smoke show.
Who, Gronk or Brady?
Gronk.
Wow, what'd you say?
It'll be interesting to see how long the divorce actually lasts.
Until he wins this Super Bowl this season.
Like, what if Brady is just like has a career-ending injury and he just calls Giselle? Like, I hope he doesn't because he's the GOAT, obviously. But like, what if he does? And
what if he
calls,
just wins the Super
he
Bowl? He's
calls-
like, hey, I'm done. Like, you want to get back together?
right?
I'm sure she's like, no.
What
I've
if they're
already
just
found
on a
somebody
break?
They could be on a break.
They could be on a break.
Ross
But
and Rachel.
I don't know. You don't really get a divorce if you're on a break.
That's fair. That does seem like a
Seems
lot
a
of
little-
work. A lot
It's
of
a
work.
public.
aggressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Maybe they'll
Millions
date
of
again.
dollars
All
at
right,
stake.
so we're gonna
Actually,
head
who
to
do you
Monday
think
night.
lost money in the divorce? Probably Giselle.
Tom. It's close.
Giselle.
She's probably worth more than him still.
Yeah,
Giselle.
I think you're right.
Which is
So-
wild.
Monday Night Football. We got the Eagles this week playing the Commanders in a divisional matchup. We're going to
Ugh.
ride Philly, the
I mean-
undefeated squad, at minus 10.5.
Why is the-
29%
Who
of the
scheduled
public.
this game?
Is the public like drunk or something?
Yeah, somehow the public's fading the 8-0 Eagles.
I will say the Commanders have been hot as of late. They've definitely been covering. I feel they definitely covered last week.
Against but yeah,
and
like,
they've been winning. I mean,
but the Eagles destroyed the Vikings. Like it's not the same.
It's true.
Are the Eagles playing at home?
Yes, and they're playing elite football, and
They're
honestly,
so
good.
like, the Commanders are non-competitive.
Are
in
they
their
on the
division.
road?
it looks usually if we do that, it's I don't know.
It's
Usually-
Eagles. It's
I think
in
Commanders
Philly.
are home.
No, it's in Philly.
Okay.
It would say at
I'm watching
Commanders.
the ticker, so I'll find out soon.
No, if the Commanders were home, it would say at Commanders.
We'll about to find out.
Yeah,
Very
but
soon.
Eagles minus 10.5. Yeah, I mean they are the
Yep.
best team in the
Yes.
NFL. It seems like.
Oh, I think so. I mean, I will say, like, we haven't really seen them play in like a close game. Like they're just kind of
But that's the
dominating
thing.
every
That,
team.
they don't need to play a close game if they're close. I mean, they don't keep it close.
Yeah, but like
Cardinals have kept it close, but they still.
I'm
you
just
know,
saying, like, if they had the
that's their
same
closest
schedule as like the Dolphins or the Bills, like they would have played a couple of close games.
Yeah, I think they probably would have lost maybe one or two, but I mean, you play your schedule, and they've played really good football all throughout their team. I mean, secondary, linebackers, defensive, offensive line, backs,
Yeah,
Everywhere.
everywhere
Like,
they played well since
who-
they're undefeated.
tight
That's
end,
fair.
receiver. Like,
Yeah.
where's the weak point to this team? Maybe there's
Run defense.
I mean, they could have.
Damian
They,
Pierce ran
they
well,
could have
though.
a better running
Yeah.
back.
So they
But-
don't want to see Derrick Henry in the Super Bowl. I guess
They definitely do not.
Yeah. No, I mean the Eagles are legit, and I like this pick especially because the public hates it. Like it's awesome.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna head over now to the easy money lay. Has hit back-to-back weeks. This week we got the 49ers money line against the Chargers, the Titans money line against the Broncos, and then the Eagles money line against the Commies. This one kind of speaks for itself. We got 2 primetime games here with the favorites to win. And then I think we talked about earlier, the Titans, we have them at -2.5. They are probably the second best team in the AFC, I want to say.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Who?
Yeah, I think they're better than the
Titans?
Chiefs.
Is he saying the
They
Titans?
just lost to them.
The
I
Titans
know.
just match up really well to the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I
but
think
they're
they're
not-
better. Like in the playoffs, like the Titans have played spoiler
That's an
to the
interesting
Chiefs like
take.
many times.
I don't think
A team that
I
just
agree with you.
lost.
They just don't have AJ Brown this year. That's going to make it a
Right.
lot harder.
Traylon
to
Burks
That's
is not
fair.
AJ Brown. He'll
They
be
just
back
have to
this week,
feed. They
it
just have
looks
to
like.
feed Henry.
Yeah,
Like-
and that's just what they've been doing the past.
Yeah.
couple
I think in the
weeks.
second half,
But when you don't have a guy like AJ Brown, I mean, you can't
Teams, they
even
can
set
just
up
put
play
like
action.
8 guys in the box.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
but probably won't stop Derrick Henry that much. But
I mean, they're definitely a top
Slow
3
them
team.
down.
I
You
put
think
them,
Miami's
I put them
better?
in the same echelon as like the Ravens and the Dolphins.
I think
yeah,
I
can agree with
think
that.
the Ravens. I think Tennessee would beat Baltimore.
I think
in a 10-game,
Those
in a
3
7-game
teams are in the
series,
same
it'd probably go to
category.
7, and I don't know who would win between
Yeah,
the Ravens and Titans.
I mean the
That's fair.
Titans are playing pretty good football, but they're peaking too early.
Yeah,
That's
I think
true.
so.
Way too early.
But Vrabel is he's a pretty locked-in coach.
Vrabel's
He keeps
a
them
dog.
locked in for the entire year.
yeah.
But
They'll
they
maybe
don't
slip-
have
they'll
an
maybe
answer
slip-
quarterback
well,
or wide receiver.
They'll maybe
Yeah.
slip a couple weeks, but it looks like they're going to keep.
Well,
it together.
speaking of dogs,
Mhm.
I think it's time we move into the Hungry Dogs parlay.
Oh, I think it's more than time for that.
The Hungry Dogs parlay this week, we have the Seahawks money line against the Bucks, the Vikings money line in Buffalo against the Bills, and the Colts money line on Saturday's debut to beat the Raiders that he tweeted were a terrible football team.
Yeah.
They're in
these
shambles.
dogs are all hungry.
Yeah.
You
All
know?
these teams probably want to win a lot. The one that
Yeah.
scares me is the Vikings a little bit. But I mean
Right.
the Jets scared me last week when they took down the Bills.
Yeah, and we had the Jets and the Hungry Dogs parlay last week. It was pretty close to
Yeah.
hitting last week. We had last week, it was the Jets to beat the Bills, and then we had the Saints to beat the Ravens on Monday and the Titans to beat the Chiefs on Sunday. So the Titans, if they had pulled it out, we would have seen ourselves in a nice little hedge situation.
Yeah.
Um,
Hopefully we would
But-
have hedged.
last week, we had the
3-0.
Ravens. On Wednesday, we had the Ravens minus
Something.
I think it was 2.5, 3.5.
Mhm.
But the public flipped to the Ravens, so we ended up taking
Wow.
the Saints, and the flip ended up
Wow.
biting us.
Wow.
happens
That's
sometimes.
the way it goes.
Yeah. So I think now we're gonna move into the same game parlays.
I actually didn't flip. I took the Ravens.
you
I
did
didn't,
take the
I
Ravens.
didn't even check. You're good at prime time, you know?
Yeah. I guess.
Prime God.
I guess I am.
Yeah. Same game parlays.
How
3-0
about
last week.
Yeah.
3-0? I
They
mean,
were good last week.
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins plus 5.5 in the over was. I mean, that's
That was
smacked.
easy.
That's
Yeah.
smacked.
I think
But
that
this
was
week,
like
I think we got some easy ones too.
Mhm.
So we're going to start off with the Lions and the Bears. Over 19.5 points in the first half, and then each team to score over 16.5 points for the game. I don't think either
I
of
really
these
like
teams
this.
have a functional defense right
Absolutely.
now.
Which
The Bears
is crazy
traded
to
away their
see.
best 2 defenders at the
The
deadline.
Lions just killed Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
though.
the Lions, they did, but their defenses, and their defense
I feel like
shined in that
they're
game.
not going to be able to contain.
They can't do it twice.
And they're not going to be able to contain a scrambling quarterback. That's the problem.
What do you mean?
I mean, Justin Fields is just going to outrun the linebackers.
Are you saying Fields isn't a scrambler?
Fields is definitely a scrambler.
Are you saying like the Lions can't stop this guy?
I feel like
Aiden
they're not gonna be
Hutchinson
able to
can't
stop
contain him.
He might be able to contain him on one side.
Wait, what was the guy on Hard Knocks? Their rookie linebacker,
Malcolm
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
He can.
J-Rod.
He's going
Hot
to
rod.
get. He's going to get run right over. Or
No, he's going
around.
to take Fields out.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it'll be interesting
I'm
to
just
see.
kidding.
But
No,
the
it's
over
gonna be-
19.5
The
in the
over's
first
gonna-
half.
I mean, I like this bet a lot.
Yeah, I think that 19.5 is going to be easy for the first half, and then we'll hit 17
We'll
points
see what
for each of
happens
these
from there,
teams.
yeah.
So then we got the Titans plus 7.5 against the Broncos and the under 47.5 in this game. We talked about this earlier. Nice little sprinkle at minus 175.
Both really.
This game's going to be like 20-3.
Both really good
Yeah.
defenses. I mean,
Like-
really, Titans are really well coached. The Broncos just have a lot of talent. They don't really.
Well, they traded away
I don't know about the
Chubb.
coaching.
Yeah, it's true. But
Still,
it's because
I
they
mean,
think Baron Browning has the potential.
I still
just,
think
whoa.
DeMarcus Lawrence is. I mean, he's still on the team, right? Like he got signed in the offseason.
He's
There's
only
somebody-
Cowboys.
There's somebody on the other side.
You're talking
that's-
about Randy Gregory, and
Randy
he's out
Gregory.
for the year.
Okay, I mean, I still think they'll.
Come on, Jimmy.
They'll be
Come on,
all right.
come on.
Jimmy.
I still think their defense
You
is
are
good.
Jimmy
They'll be all
football.
right.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Clip that.
There's some interesting sounds happening in
Clip
this room.
Clip that. So the next same game parlay we have is the Giants money line against the Texans. The under 50.5 for this game.
Also 20-3.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be a blowout in New York. The Giants
Giants are
coming
going to
off-
run all over them.
I like both these all three of these
Yeah.
a lot.
The Giants
Texans
coming off
are gonna run all
potentially
over
their
the
hardest
Giants.
game of the year. Potentially the Giants' hardest game of the year was last week against the Seahawks, like in Seattle. Like playing it there is very difficult. So I
Have
think
they already played at Jerry World?
pretty sure they have the Cowboys at home later in the season.
Well, they
But-
played,
Yeah,
have
they
already-
played them Monday night. That was in New York.
So the next one's in Jerry World.
Yeah,
That's their hardest game of the year.
absolutely. And do they play the Eagles again? Are they playing?
Yeah,
the
they
Eagles?
play the Eagles. But I seriously think, like, atmosphere-wise, playing in Seattle is harder than playing in Dallas or
They
Philly.
got
True,
some.
they
They
pump
got
in-
some
they
rabid
pump in the
fans.
noise.
That crowd noise is ridiculous, and so regardless of like divisional matchups or actual game, hardest game of the year, but atmosphere-wise, like it was absolutely like the hardest place they're gonna have to play.
Are you saying Seattle is a good sports town?
Yeah,
Maybe they should have a basketball team.
No, I don't think they deserve it.
yeah, they don't. Have they
The
ever
way
had
they
one?
booed that guy, Russell Wilson, on his way out,
Yeah,
he's a
absolutely.
real stand-up guy. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's not a celebrity player at all.
Definitely not.
he's not.
Definitely not.
So let's head over now to some passing yard player props. We're going to start with the player props. So we want to, shine a light on these receiver props.
You can go ahead and shine a light on them. They didn't
Yeah,
do so
you're the
well
one that
last
wants
week.
to talk about the light.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the light.
Receiver props.
they were 0-7, but
The rest of them went
11-0.
11-0, including a shootout parlay winner.
would you want to know what that means, though? That means fade the receiver props.
But maybe not, because the week before I went 5-0. It's a yo-yo. It's it's this way, it's that way.
So maybe this week get the receiver props.
there's only
next
four.
week-
There's only four this week.
Next week,
Okay,
don't.
so we've reduced.
We
next week,
tightened
don't.
them down.
So we're going to start with Tim Brady,
Tim.
This is Tim Brady's fourth consecutive appearance on this list,
and it's been around the same number every time.
and so far, guess how many in a row he's gone over? 3 in a row. Let's make it
Trace.
4 this week.
Trace Tacos.
And it's not like anything is changing in this Buccaneers offense. Like, it looks horrible, but he's thrown the ball 49, 44, and 58 times. The last 3
His arm's
weeks.
going to fall off. The dude's 45 years old.
Yeah, but if he's
he's
throwing
still
it
got
that
a
many
cannon.
times, like, he's going to throw for
He's still got a
275 yards.
He's got a rocket launcher on that arm, so it's ridiculous what he's doing, and he's gonna hit this again.
And here's why I really like Brady this week. And I almost made it my hammer play. It was close. He likes to be up early. He's old. He can't play in these late primetime games.
Yeah.
Well,
He's past his bedtime, way past it.
Yeah,
But now he's in
absolutely.
Germany. He's playing at
it's
whatever German
Well,
time.
technically it's
5:30
like
in Germany.
5:30 in Germany, but it's not.
Yeah,
prime
it's
time.
not.
It's
yeah.
a standalone game,
Yeah.
but it's not prime time.
But like
I
his
think this
internal clock, it's
he is gonna
9:30
go.
American
Yeah, he's gonna.
time.
Yeah.
He's gonna go off.
It's true. I like him.
His body is going to be like, wow, it's time to go.
And they won. They did one. They did.
Oh,
win
yeah.
last week.
I mean, like we've been talking about, they're 1-0 since the divorce.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, all the stats are the same. Like, he's averaging 283 yards a game. Like, he's struggling. And if he actually starts clicking with his receivers, he's going to smash this. And he's once again PFF's highest projected quarterback at 314 yards this week.
That's all reasons to slam it.
I don't know. I mean, why stop it?
Yeah, I mean, if it ain't broke, right?
I just
Broke,
think the
don't fix
the books are just disrespecting him because like the team looks bad.
Yeah.
They do look bad, but they're still like matriculating the ball up and down the field and not
Absolutely.
scoring touchdowns.
They're
Right.
just
Notice they're never in any of the
Ryan
touchdown
Suckup.
parlays.
Ryan Suckup
Yeah.
having a career year this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Next up, we got a guy who's not having a career.
Yeah, speaking of broke but needs to be fixed, maybe this week.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford, over 245.5.
So the thing about Stafford is that this is an important bounce back spot because they really should have won that game last week. But the Bucs defense is still pretty solid. The Cardinals defense, not so much.
No,
not so much. So I think this is a really good opportunity for him to have one of those, better performances that we're expecting out of him. Their backs are really against the wall here, and it's not like this is that much higher than what he's averaging. He's averaging 241 yards on the season, so that's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
And what I kind of like about this is that the last 2 weeks he's under 200 yards. So, he's down.
It's bringing the line down.
It's bringing the line down. He's had a couple of bad weeks, but he's a premier player. We saw them win the Super Bowl last year. He's due to have a bounce back spot.
Yeah.
And having 250 passing yards isn't even that big of a bounce back.
No.
It's right around his average. So, brutal loss, back against the wall, bad defense. That's a recipe for success here.
Yeah.
And PFF hasn't projected at 286 yards. So 40 yards over this one total.
I think he's going to prove that he can potentially be a Hall of Famer with, hitting his over for passing yards week 10 of the 2022 season.
Yeah, I think that will, catapult him right into the gold jacket conversation.
I think you want to know what I think?
What?
I think that the name of that Hall of Famer this week is a quarterback, and we might have just gotten
Really?
Major sneaky sneak. Huh?
Really?
Major sneaky sneak.
The Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that is a random question. Yeah.
I think he can he's always been considered.
Is Matthew Stafford one of the
since he got his Super Bowl ring, it really solidifies him.
Just let me know. Let me know right now. Is he one of the three?
No.
Okay.
No, he's not.
Okay. All right, so
I would never say it.
A future Hall of Famer is next. We got Justin Fields over 165.5. All right, I'm pushing it on the Hall of Famer stuff. But he looked really good last week against the Dolphins. Since they traded away the defense, the offense has looked good.
Yeah, it was genius. Addition by subtraction. And, okay, to your point about him being a potential Hall of Famer, he did just set the single-game rushing record by a quarterback.
He's already breaking records.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And that's why I like his passing over this week, because
they're going to be ready for the scramble. He's just going to throw it.
That's all they've been looking at all week. And it's this terrible the Lions defense that we're talking about. The whole week, Man Campbell is going to be over there preaching how they got to make sure to keep him in the pocket, make sure he doesn't scramble, make sure he doesn't get.
He's got a good arm.
He's going to toss a deep one to Claypool or Mooney or Equinemius or any of these random players they have. Nikhil Harry. They have the weirdest wide receiver.
Absolutely, but somehow it works because he's just that good.
Yeah. So he is not doing that well with the passing yards on this season.
But after such an explosive rushing performance, it'll keep him in the pocket a little bit. It feels like.
Yeah,
he did hit this weeks 4 through 7. In the last 2 weeks, he's been running a little more, and he hasn't hit it. I think we kind of see a bounce back to a little bit earlier where he's tossing the ball better. And
let's not forget the week he only completed 7 passes.
I can also see him,
but he's come such a long way.
I feel like he could throw like a 65-yard touchdown at some point in this game.
And this game is going to be high score.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These defenses are atrocious.
And PFF has him at 206 yards, so full 40 yards over his total.
Which is solid.
With these quarterbacks, there's big disparity.
And the PFF projections have been
they've been pretty solid
for the picks.
Yeah, especially for non-wide receiver picks.
Yeah.
They honestly have been pretty accurate.
Yeah. Is it time to go into the final picks, the scariest selections of the week?
You do have a scary selection.
Yeah, and this one's really scary this week.
Potentially the scariest of them all.
Yeah. A big time scary selection.
So what's scary about it?
What's so scary about this pick is really that both of these quarterbacks are horrible. That's what's scary.
We have a Heisman winner in our mess. You're gonna call him
and
horrible.
an XFL MVP.
Absolutely.
I forgot about that.
So we do have two.
What's more valuable?
But we said this earlier. This game is going to be ridiculous. Expect ridiculous things to happen.
And look at these yards.
Marcus Mariota.
160,
I said Justin Fields might throw an 80 or 65-yard touchdown. Marcus Mariota can do that, just like bouncing it out or like a check down to somebody, and they'll take it there.
Yeah. And the thing that I like about this bet is when they played 2 weeks ago, they both hit this pretty easily, and then they both had horrible games last week. So they're both, due for a bounce back spot against a welcomingly terrible defense that they just played against. And it's not like these guys are like miles away from hitting these. Mariota averages 173 yards, and Walker has 177 and 317 yards in the 2 games that he's actually played and finished. Not including the one where he got pulled last week and had like 10 yards.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna have they announced their starting quarterback for tomorrow?
Yeah, they announced it was Walker.
Okay.
Just because I think he knows the playbook and they just don't want to rush into Baker on a short week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good idea.
And so PFF, I think, also sees this as being more of like a high scoring back and forth game like it was 2 weeks ago than a boring game. Like I think, is implied by these lines. And they have Mariota at 244 yards and Walker at 250 yards. So I think that's pretty reasonable. Like I think both these guys are gonna have pretty solid games, and it's gonna be kind of a wacky one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it's Thursday night. Like,
it's gonna be a crazy game. It's gonna be. I think it might be another fun one between these 2 teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we got up next from scary selection to hammer play. The hammer play for the player props, we got Saquon over 90.5 rushing yards for this week. Doesn't really need much of an explanation here because he's been so elite this season, but we're going to give you one anyway.
Well, and the funny thing is, it has way less to do with Saquon than it does that he's playing this terrible, terrible Texans defense.
They got torched by Khalil Herbert. I think Saquon's got this.
Forget Khalil Herbert. They've been torched by literally every single running back that's played against them. Saquon himself is averaging 97 on the season. They're off a bye.
Yeah.
They're off a bye.
He's going to be super fresh. It's going to be a week 1 thing where he's like back and feeling like super healthy, and he's just going to have that bounce.
Derrick Henry had 220 yards against this defense 2 weeks ago. Miles Sanders torched him last week. It's a long line of people torching this defense.
Gainwell torched them.
Yeah.
Everyone is going to torch him. For some reason, PFF has him at 78 yards this week. Don't really understand that.
So do they think the Giants are going to...
They have him getting 20 receiving yards too, so they have him getting 100 total yards.
Okay, so
I think
they don't have.
I think he'll get 120 receiving or 120 rushing yards. 50 receiving yards easily. It feels like.
I think he's going to torch him.
Yeah,
I don't know. This is a personal gut play, and more on the fact that the Texans are terrible. They've played a lot of games in a row. The Giants are coming off a bye.
Lovie Smith is their coach.
Yeah, I mean the Texans are actively trying to lose almost.
Right.
They want Bryce
They're
Young,
tanking.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean there's just a lot of good talent.
No, they want Will Anderson because they already have Davis Mills. Mills Mafia. He's the man of the future.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think Mills is probably the
Texans have some questions they need to address.
I think they're going to probably try to get a quarterback.
Yeah,
but more importantly, Saquon is going for 100+ and a touchdown.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can almost pencil that in. Everyone does that against the Texans.
Yeah. So this next pick, last time we saw him, he performed pretty well. 3 touchdowns scored. Christian McCaffrey playing the Chargers on Sunday Night Football.
Mm-hmm. And the thing that I like about this pick is that the Chargers defense is banged up like we've talked about. The Falcons just ran over them. But it's a lot more about McCaffrey. I mean, I have been talking about this bye stuff at length. But he's coming off a bye, and for him it is actually the start of a new season because he just actually probably learned the playbook over the bye.
Yeah.
And got rested, got healthy.
And he's got a crazy work ethic. He's probably just grinding that.
You think he's a gym rat?
Absolutely.
Burns the midnight oil.
Real lunch pail kind of guy.
Yeah, definitely. Blue collar.
Absolutely.
I mean McCaffrey's a beast. I really do think that Shanahan's going to scheme up some fun stuff for him over the bye week, and they're going to come out, looking for blood in this game. And I think he's going to probably have a couple nice 20, 30-yard chunk run plays like we saw last time he was out
and
there.
Probably a couple chunk receiving plays as well.
Yeah, and PFF
that guy.
has him at 81 yards this week.
That's solid.
So it's pretty good.
Yeah. So more of a PFF play. Saquon's more of a gut play.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also more bye week. 2 players that are actually good this year and 2 guys that are kind of I mean, the Saquon one's more of a defense play. The McCaffrey one's more of a belief in Shanahan over the bye week, getting some fun stuff done.
Yeah, I agree.
So speaking of Shanahan and the 49ers, we want to go on to the receiving yards. George Kittle looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Kittle has looked a lot better. Technical difficult. Oh, wait, no, it's right there. Kittle has looked a lot better, and he is playing against a Chargers defense that's banged up, as we talked about, and has been pretty bad against tight ends. And it's not like Kittle hasn't been hitting this when he's been playing. He's averaging 53 yards per game.
He's been banged up as well. I mean, that's the problem with him. And he's a top 5, top 3 tight end when he's on the field. It's just staying out there is the problem. Yeah,
and especially like Debo, maybe he plays, maybe not. I think that they're going to, feature McCaffrey and Kittle a little bit more. Like those two guys are healthy. They're playmakers. They just had the bye week. I like those guys to put up a lot of points against the Chargers.
Yeah, and we have the Niners too to cover, so it's like big time
Niners energy. Yeah. And PFF has him at 58.3 yards. Pretty solid.
Yeah. So next up, we got Mike Evans at 67.5 receiving yards for this week.
Yeah, I mean, been going with Evans a lot too. I don't really know what to say. Like last week, he didn't get it, and he has looked out of sync with Brady. But I mean, this line is just so low.
He's such a good receiver. Brady's the best quarterback of all time. How can you not keep on betting?
He's gotten 15 targets, 11 targets, and 11 targets last week. I truly believe if someone gets 10 plus targets from Tom Brady, they should be getting 70 plus yards in a game.
Absolutely, in a couple tubs.
So yeah, until this line adjusts, or it starts missing again and again and again, I guess we're just gonna have to keep riding it, like with the Tom Brady one.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 5-1 on these guys combined the last 3 weeks, the last 3 weeks.
So staying in the beastly division of the NFC South, we'll head on to Kyle Pitts, who has actually been performing relatively pretty well the last couple of weeks. It feels like.
Not really. He had a pretty bad performance last week. He actually played bad last week, kind of came back down to earth. But, 2 weeks ago, he played the same Panthers team. He smoked them. They really couldn't guard him. And he's playing a lot more than he has in the past. The last 2 weeks, he's had highest snap shares of the season. And Arthur Smith is actually using him kind of appropriately. Last week, he just didn't catch his passes. He got 7 targets, but only caught 2 of them.
Did you see the air yards?
Yeah, he had the most by a tight end this season.
Yeah.
So PFF has him at 61.8 yards. I don't know. I think the game is going to be pretty similar to the one last week. 2 weeks ago, and more so the Falcons have just been using Kyle Pitts the way he should be the last couple of weeks, and it feels like if he starts catching some of these passes, he's going to be hitting this on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, I traded him in fantasy football, and ever since he's just been doing pretty well, and I think he'll continue to do that.
You think you did it? You think you broke the jinx on Kyle Pitts?
I mean, I think he's had the talent this entire time, and they just need to utilize him. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's very fair. Moving on to the last receiving prop of the day, Gabe Davis. He failed us last week, and I'm not bitter about it, but he definitely could have caught that last play of the game that literally hit him in the hands, and he would have secured it easily. And
he's a big play guy. I think he could do it on one catch.
I say the same thing every week. This Vikings defense isn't that good. The Jets are a pretty good defense, I guess. And I really do think if Josh Allen plays, which I assume he will, they're really looking, for revenge. We like the Vikings this week.
Yeah.
But I still think, the Bills are going to put up a nice offensive performance. And it's like we just talked about. He put up duds the last 2 weeks. He's only caught 4 passes, but he's been targeted 11 times. If he's catching, 10 of those instead of 4, he's hitting his overs easily.
Right.
And so I think this week, we're really looking for him to get 4 or 5 catches on 7 targets.
Okay.
And if he's doing that, he's hitting his over pretty easily. PFF has him at 71.3 this week.
Yeah. That's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we move into players are throwing interception, we got a little break.
We're back.
We're back and better than ever, boys.
Yeah.
So, what were we on? Are we talking about touchdown scores?
Oh no, we are on one of our favorite plays. It was Carson Wentz. It's now Kenny to throw an interception.
That's right. That's right.
What's the record on the year for this? Since we started doing it,
1-1.
Yeah,
I thought that
1-1.
they were actually playing last week, but it turns out that the Steelers were on a bye. They're on a bye.
They're gonna let him throw it. That's the thing, no matter what.
But coming off the bye, I'm fascinated with the byes in the NFL. I think he's throwing a lot of picks.
Yeah,
he's been well rested. His arm's ready to go. They're gonna chuck.
He's gonna go out and sling it to the other team.
You might as well call him Mr. INT.
Mr. INT.
Mr. Pickett.
Mr. Pickett.
Mr. Pickett is good.
Yeah. So now
we're going on
Jimmy.
the touchdown.
Now, Jimmy, we have the touchdown scores. The first one, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp. All right, cool. Second one.
Saquon. Easy. I mean, I think he's going 100 plus in a TD. The Texans can't stop anyone. He's a beast. Off the bye. Already talked about it. Let's move on.
All right, yeah.
I think the next guy, the best tight end in football.
No. We're not talking about Kate Otten.
Okay. The next coming
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Kelce is that he hasn't scored in 3 weeks. And the last time he did score, he had 4 touchdowns in 1 game.
So it's just averaging out.
He's probably going to score 3.
I don't know, but I think it's time for him to score.
Yeah,
he's been getting a lot of targets.
He always gets those red zone targets.
Yeah, like Reed's going to script him one. Whenever guys don't have a touchdown for a couple of weeks, it feels like they know.
Yeah.
Like they don't.
Coaches like that. Yeah, coaches like that definitely know.
But they know. He knows he hasn't
want
gotten
to
a
get him in the
touchdown in a couple
touchdown.
of
They want to
weeks.
get the touch.
Yeah,
want to get
and
the
they'll
confidence
call
going.
something for him in the red zone. It's just everyone knows they're going to. So yeah, they're going to try and get Kelsey the touchdown, but I think it's going to have to be on a play that like he kind of creates for himself.
That's fine. I mean, he's getting 10 targets a game. So
I still think Reed
like.
likes to give him touchdowns just to boost his confidence for the playoffs.
I don't think
honestly.
he needs confidence.
And it's not like they're playing
true,
anyone
but
good. They're playing the Jags.
Let him dance a little bit. Let him have some fun.
Yeah, so next up we got the running back Jamal Williams.
Wow. Yeah.
He soon enough will not be the only active Jay Williams on the Detroit Lions. His Jameson is looking pretty good.
He's coming back soon.
He's coming back really soon. So, but we're going with the other Jay Williams.
I believe it's Jameson Williams.
Yeah, but still
Jay.
The jersey.
Jameson Williams.
I know.
Yeah,
we know. We're saying Jay
The
Williams.
jersey.
Not Jameson, it's Jameson.
What?
It's not Jameson, it's Jameson.
That's the same name.
Whatever.
That's
saying
the most insane thing.
You're
I've
like
ever
saying
said.
it's not water, it's water.
It's not water, it's agua. But yeah, no,
Like,
I think
how is it spelled? It's
Jameson, I believe.
which is how you spell Jameson.
But he pronounces it Jameson.
That's what we're saying.
Jameson.
I don't know about that. He's pronouncing his name wrong.
He's looking.
It's a really famous, alcohol brand, Jameson.
It is Jameson.
It's Jameson though. He pronounces it Jameson.
It's not relevant how he pronounces it.
All right, that's fine.
Jameson.
It's not showing up. Well, it did.
But yeah, Jamal Williams, he loves to vulture those touchdowns from Swift.
Yeah, and
Jay Williams.
Swift is somehow still not healthy. Don't know how, but
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I mean,
whatever.
I'm not gonna knock anybody for obviously injuries.
I am. Swift's, how is he not back? It's like
I
this
don't know.
Michael Thomas thing.
I know Michael Thomas is on IR.
For a toe, and
Yeah.
Brian Robinson got shot, and he's
I
already
know.
back.
Brian Robinson's a dog. But yeah,
He's
I don't
got a dog in
know.
him.
DeAndre Swift not playing that much. Jamal Williams 24 carries last week, and they're playing the Bears this week. I love betting rushing players against the Bears. Like to take their rushing yards over, but I can stick with just getting a touchdown here.
Yeah, I mean, this is what he does. He just gets the goal line work and
He's
he
a
gets in
vulture.
the end zone.
He's a vulture.
Vulture of the week, Jamal Williams.
He's vulture of
All
the
right.
year.
So now we got our shootout TD parlay. So the shootout TD parlay we got in the Jags Chiefs game, Kelsey and Travis ETN.
The
How do you
Travis.
pronounce it? How do you pronounce it?
The Travis.
How do I pronounce that one?
How do you pronounce it?
Travis.
No.
His last
His
name.
last name.
ETN.
No, it's Etienne.
Etienne?
Etienne.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Etienne?
We're just joking.
The pronounce they always it's always different.
He's from Louisiana,
Pronunciation.
right?
No, it's Travis Etienne.
I think so, yeah. Either that or South Carolina.
It's Travis Etienne.
ETN.
Etienne.
It's Travis Etienne.
So this is the Travis shootout.
Yeah.
parlay.
Yo, yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Oh.
Wow, it was staring
It's-
me right in the
this
face.
is- So actually,
this is obvious.
this is now officially. This isn't even fucking written in our notes anywhere, but this has officially become a weekly play. The Travis TD parlay.
The Travis TD
I mean, if it
parlay
hits.
is looking
If
good.
it hits, you'll see it next week.
I might bet it.
It's literally going to be the first pick we talk about. All right, starting the show. Blah 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 blah.
Travis and Travis.
Travis
Travis.
TD
Travis
parlay.
Square.
Yeah.
We'll have a nice little, it'll show the record up here.
Travis
The Travis
2X.
parlay.
Yeah.
Travis 2X.
Yeah, it'll just say Travis. It's just gonna say like Travis. All right.
We are an official Travis podcast.
I do like both these players. We already talked about Kelsey. I think he's
Wait, is it Travis's or Travi?
Travis.
Travi.
It
I
would
like
be
Travi.
It's the
Multiple
Travi parlay.
Multiple
I don't think
Travi.
that's grammatically correct, but that's how I would like it to be.
It's the Travi.
It's the
parlay. Travi. So
And Etienne's getting in the end zone. He's scored 3 straight games after
Yeah.
being the full-time starter.
He's-
The
you
Chiefs
mean
run-
Travis?
Travis.
He
yes,
is the
Travis.
RB1
They're-
for the future.
Oh yeah, and their Chiefs defense is horrible. This game total in the 50s. There's going to be a lot of points back and forth at 1 p.m. Going to be a weird game. Hopefully these guys just score
A
me.
lot of red zone action, I feel like.
Oh yeah, this game's going
Yeah.
to be on red zone a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's a shootout TD parlay.
Mm-hmm.
So now we got the name that Hall of Famer. As we mentioned, it is a quarterback this week. Jimmy, break it down for us.
Yeah, so player one, pretty interesting stats. been to a couple Pro Bowls. Pretty good QB rating, which it's not QBR, which is a little bit.
What's the difference?
I'm not really sure, but I think QB rating is just a
Jimmy,
little
your
bit
last
higher.
name is Football.
I looked at it and it kind of did not make sense. So yeah, player 1, he's got a pretty good touchdown to interception ratio. I think that's probably the strong suit of what he's got going for him. He's not really have any accolades or awards.
No Super Bowl winners.
Yeah, no Super Bowl winners here. Player 2.
So one of these,
he's got
losers
the
is a Hall of
awards.
Famer?
He's got the
One of them
accolades.
was a comeback player of the year twice. Does that mean you got 2 separate
You got
devastating
2
injuries?
Either that
Alex
or he
Smith
came back from something else.
Oh, that one's Alex Smith then, right?
It's not Alex Smith.
2 comeback player of the year.
It's gonna.
Oh, is it Mike Vick?
It is Mike Vick. You're gonna laugh.
Oh,
That's
electric.
awesome.
He has 2 comeback.
How did he
players.
win it the second time?
So I think he got hurt one year, and then he.
well, we all know what happened the
and
first
then,
time.
No, that was the first time was when he got hurt.
Oh,
The
and the
second
second
time
time
was
was
the dog stuff.
And he won an award for
I
coming
was about to
back
say,
from
I
that.
feel like
I guess
he
so.
probably did not need to win that.
No,
Yeah.
probably not.
All right, so player 2. Let's get Aris on these 2 Johnnies.
On player 1, he's current, and then player 2, he is. I want to say
Player 1's Kirk Cousins.
80s. Yeah, player 1 is Kirk Cousins.
Oh wow.
Player 2 is like 80s.
The
to
only
90s.
reason is because
the record.
it's because
The record.
it's literally because of the record.
It's the record.
Yeah,
I feel like that kind of gave it away.
yeah, it did because I could think of his ties.
Definitely.
3-time.
2 ties, and then before this year, he was basically even on his record. But obviously,
Right.
he's having a good year.
But this guy didn't win a Super Bowl player too.
He did not.
He's the Hall of Famer.
He is the Hall of Famer.
Where did he play?
Is that Dan Marino?
That would kind of give it
No,
away.
when did he play again?
He played in the 80s, late 70s to maybe the early 90s.
Oh wow. It's a long
The early 90s. Jim Kelly.
Yeah,
Oh
it's Jim Kelly. So
Pretty good
yeah,
stats.
so he obviously went to 4 Pro Bowls.
Well, I was thinking about it. It's like, look, he's definitely a Hall of Famer, and there's no way that guy won any Super Bowls
Yeah, no.
because they lost 4 straight AFC champions.
It's kinda
They lost
crazy.
4 straight Super Bowls.
He won
right?
3
They
offensive player of the
literally
years.
lost 4 straight Super
4
Bowls.
straight Super Bowls.
So it's like, what's the point of even? What's the point of even going to the Super Bowl if you're going to lose?
Yeah, if you
4
just know.
times.
I mean, it's still kind of impressive.
Is it?
Absolutely.
I think it's still pretty impressive.
Are you kind of impressed?
I'm kind of
I'm
impressed.
slightly impressed.
You're slightly impressed.
Slightly.
I think it's arguably-
moderately or extremely.
Moderately.
I think it's really
Impressed.
impressive to keep losing and keep the team good enough to make it back to the Super Bowl.
They were just like,
It's like-
yeah, we got to run it back.
You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
damn.
'Cause
We
like-
got to run it back. Damn.
Well, Frank
We gotta
Reich
run
did
it
it
back.
one time.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
But you know what I'm saying? Like
He's going to get hired by the Bills.
Probably.
Is that?
I can
He
see
is
that.
absolutely
I can see him get hired.
No,
by
it's
the
just like an
Bears.
offensive,
He can get hired by the Bears.
quarterbacks coach, something. He's going to get hired by Buffalo.
I can see that or like the Bears just randomly.
Yeah, Eberflus, but I don't think he's going to work on
Sirianni.
Eberflus.
Sirianni.
Back to Philly, I
Yeah,
don't see that
that'd
either.
be kind
That
of
would be wild. Bring
That'd
him
be kinda
another
cool.
title.
Well, that is all we have. For
That's
you
all we
this
got,
week.
guys.
That's all we've got.
Shout out to Chooch. He was on technical this week. Say hi, Chooch.
Hey.
So yeah, thanks to Chooch. Yeah, that's it.
That's all we got.
Smell you.
Peace.
Later.